Hello everyone. So today starts the beginning of my second reread of the year. So again, this vlog is going to be filled with spoilers. You're going to hear all my thoughts as they're happening. I am so excited. It was fun to do the first one. What book is it going to be, you ask? Well, it's going to be The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is the new anniversary special edition. It's so pretty. It has a fabric bookmark built in. The end pages are gorgeous. I'm a little bit hesitant to actually read this copy, but I really want to tab it as I go. So in a second here, I'm going to show you my plan to try to keep my book safe from the elements as I read it. So I'm excited. This is a World War II historical fiction. To this date, it is my favorite World War II historical fiction of all time. This is in my top books of all time. And so that's the whole point of this project. Do these books hold true? So I am excited. What pushed me to pick this one now is Lindsay at Lindsay's Little Library and Sarah at Sarah's Nightstand. They are doing a Bookless Thursday read-along. And so you can check that out on their Facebook page. I think it's 10 chapters a week. And there's going to be some, different reading sprints, different conversations, things that'll be had on their channels. I'm hoping to hop in on one of those reading sprints, or one or two. So I'm really excited. This is about two sisters that are involved in World War II that in two completely different ways. And this book was just so good. It broke me. I loved it. I'm hoping I still love it. I think a lot of people have read this already, but if you haven't and you're interested in it, don't watch this because it's going to ruin it for you. So I'm going to flip my camera around here and show you my plan to keep my book safe, and then I will check in when I get going. There's going to be some reading sprints coming up tonight, May 1st, so I am excited. Okay, I'm just holding the camera, so hopefully it won't be too shaky. This is my desk. It's my little view outside. It is pouring rain today. But yes, I'm in my library. So again, I do not want to have anything happen to this. So I have this book cover that I actually ordered from Lindsay's Etsy shop. It's really cool because it's adjustable. This holds it tight and you can fit multiple size of hardbacks. So I'm going to put it in there. Let's see if I can do it one-handed. Probably not. Because yeah, again, I just don't want anything to happen to this book. Hold on, I have to pause. Okay, I needed both hands. But yeah, so I put that on there, and in the back, it just adjusts to how big your paperback is. So that's my plan with that. And like I said earlier, I want to tab it up. So I have this from Achievers Must. It has a very strong magnet on it, and so these are my tabs that I'll be using. It's cool because it has holders for pens as well, but I'm not going to annotate this book. I'm not going to write in it. So yeah, it's hard to do again with one hand. Alright, take the magnet, close the book, and then put this on there. Sorry, and it's not the best video quality. And there you go. So it does make it a little bit bulky, because you can see that there, but it's fine. It's a hardcover, so it shouldn't ruin it. So that's my plan to keep it safe as we go. And I'm excited to get started tonight on some reading sprints on Lindsay's channel. So, hey everyone, I am in my car in a parking lot. My daughter's inside doing her volleyball practice. So I am going to read The Nightingale, and I'll give you my thoughts. I have about an hour to read. So my goal is to focus on reading this hour and not get distracted by my phone or scrolling or anything like that. So then after that, it's a Friday. So after that, it's going to be kind of late for dinner, but I'm starving and I have not had a chance to go to the grocery store or anything. So I think I'm going to stop in at Beep Beep Bop, which is like a Chipotle for like Asian inspired food, if you haven't heard of it. It's pretty good. So we're going to do that and grab something, whether we eat it there or not, or take it home. It will be a surprise. It depends on how tired Ava is. So I woke up this morning with a little bit of a sore throat. So work was fun today. Work today was great and I got a lot done, but I just felt like I wasn't as productive and wasn't bringing 100% to the table because I wasn't feeling good. So anyways, enough about my day at work. You want to hear my thoughts on the Nightingale. So I will be back after I read for a little bit, but I'm back in the story and I'm loving it, and I'm so glad I'm rereading this one. I feel like this reread is going, although I really enjoyed Cece Wilkes, this one just seems like a stronger reread to me because I don't know. I just think this is definitely a favorite of all time, but we will see. Okay, you're probably sick of hearing me say that. All right, I'm gonna get to reading. I'll be back. It's very sunny. Okay, so I read 2 chapters. I didn't get too distracted, but I am not feeling well, so I was kind of nodding off. But I read 2 chapters, and my heart is just breaking. So I'm at the point where the German officer that's living with Vianne asked her for a list of names, and I understand that, like, maybe she felt kind of cornered on what to do, but, like, you could have played stupid. Like, you could have acted like you didn't know. Eventually they'll probably get the names, but I don't know. So that was upsetting, and then I was so proud of her for going and telling Rachel, her best friend, because that would be so hard to do, but that was the right thing to do. It's just so sad, and I love that Isabel stole a bicycle because her shoes are no longer working, and it was someone else's bicycle and the German stole it, so she stole it back and it's going to be painted, all that. I love that. Little fights along the way to try to take care of yourself in wartime. I can't imagine, like, getting, standing in line all day and getting, like, 1 octopus to feed, 3 people, or just not having anything and being hungry and cold. They can't even turn on their heat. Their pipes are freezing. They're all sleeping together in the same bed to try to stay warm. Like, you guys, I would not survive. I would die. I'm not, like, almost dropped the phone. I'm not super high maintenance, but, like, I need heat and, like, running water. Like, I wouldn't know how to, like, cook a meal out of 1 octopus. Like, I don't know. I think I would die. I don't think I would survive. But yeah, reading's going well. So that's all for now. I will check in later when I pick up the book again. Bye. Hey everyone. Okay, so I've read about 100 pages, so I wanted to check in. I read chapter 13 through chapter 20. So I kind of took notes as I was reading just to, like, remind myself of everything I wanted to say. So if I look down, that's why. So chapter 13, we open up. The tension is definitely building, not only in the story, like, the war, what's going on, but also between Vianne and Isabel, and just all of it. It's just, you're feeling that pressure just starting to close in on them. The part where I think it was like 3 or 4 German soldiers end up breaking down the wall because they are hearing word of, like, this propaganda going around. And it's interesting to see how Isabel's choices, how Isabel's, Isabel's, like, role in the war is directly affecting Vianne. We see Captain Beck help Isabel get a pass to France, even though he thinks she's going back to help her dad who's ill. But I think it's just really interesting the way, the way Beck's character is written, because he is the enemy. He is invaded their house, but at the same time, he's showing so much kindness to Vianne and her daughter. Yeah, so we have Isabel lying to her sister. Isabel's job in the war and fighting the war is directly affecting Vianne and her daughter, and how that tension is really built because of that. And then we get, like, a fast forward chapter where it goes into the future timeline of 1995 on the Oregon coast. We don't know which sister it is. I honestly can't remember which sister it was. I remember thinking, like, the first time I read it, like I knew what sister it was going to be, and then it switched. So that makes me feel like the old lady in the Oregon Coast is Vianne, but I'm not sure that that's right. It could be Isabel. I don't remember, you guys. So that's been the first little part of the book that hasn't like just popped back in my brain, which is interesting because that's kind of a huge part of it, the ending, right? Yeah, so you're picking up, she has a son who's a surgeon. She gets this invitation to come to Paris, and it's the Pasteurs reunion in Paris. And on page 146, we get, some hints, some foreshadowing of what's to come. It says, how could I possibly go without remembering all of it? The terrible things I've done, the secret I kept, the man I killed, and the one I should have. Mom, what's a pastor? I can hardly find enough voice to say it's someone who helped people in the war. So that makes me feel like it's Vianne. That's this lady in the present or the future timeline, the 1995 timeline. But honestly, I can't remember. What else? Like I said, I've been taking notes as I'm reading it because I don't want to put it down, and I don't want to film every 5 seconds because it takes me out of the book. So thank you for bearing with me. Yeah, I feel like so sad for Vianne, like how confused she must be with these weird feelings towards Beck, right? He's showing her kindness. He's bringing her fish and wine, right? And she is married. He is married, but you're in this time of war where you're just, nothing is good around you. Everything is falling apart. And the fact that he could be doing horrible things to her, taking over her house, but he's showing her this kindness, and it shows that human side of him. And just the human side of what both sides of the war, any war, are human, right? And so, I don't know. We get introduced to Henry and Didier. I'm not sure what his name, how you pronounce it, but they're part of the Free French. They want Isabel to go to Paris, so she's doing that. It's really cool to see Isabel come alive now that she has a purpose and a job to do, and she's going to get it done well. You see her, I guess as a kid, she was very rebellious, would break the rules, and so this is now paying off for her because she's ready to fight and ready to do this. I loved when she stands up to her dad, and her dad's an alcoholic. Turns out her dad is working for the enemy. She struggles with that. The Nazis destroyed their family bookstore, which I was like, no, not the bookstore. I guess there's like a hidden room in the back of the bookstore. I'm kind of curious what that is for, because he tells her, like, don't go in there. And then chapter 16, my heart was so full when Beck finds her husband and is able to give her a letter from her husband. And it says on the page, finished the letter and immediately began reading it again after she was finished. And that, I could feel that, because when my husband was deployed and I would get a letter, I would do the same exact thing. It was like, if I could just keep reading it, it would bring me close and bring back to, him back to me right now. And so I literally felt it in my body because I have felt that before. Yeah, so that part was really cool. Again, he's showing her kindness. He could have lied and said, "Hey, your husband's dead," and tried to talk her into going to bed with him. Like, Beck is a decent guy for being a German Nazi, but other than that. And then you see in chapter 17, you see Vianne's job get terminated. And I'm like, come on, can this woman catch a break? Like, I cannot imagine. I can't, I cannot fathom, my brain will not wrap around the idea of being in the situation, losing her job, not having anyone to help her out, trying to keep her daughter alive, dealing with, is my friend going to be taken? She's Jewish. The people at work getting fired, Jews starting to get locked up and sent away. I like the part in chapter 17 where Beck and Vianne are they're speaking about what war has done to them, absence from their spouses, even though they're on different sides. You're seeing very similar reactions and personal feelings towards each other or towards themselves, towards their families. And I like how the author did that. I thought that was really cool. Then we find out Isabel finds a British Royal Air Force pilot, RAF pilot, and she starts helping the down pilots, the escape and go through the Pyrenees Mountains. And I cannot imagine. I would not be able to make that trek, I don't think. Oh, and then when Gaitan rolls in and he's back in the story, he's the one that recommended her to the group. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I know he loves her and she loves him, and it's kind of instant lovey, you know, but I'm there for it. I'm definitely there for it. So we're chapter 17. She's starting to travel with 8 people into Spain through these Pyrenees Mountains. Her name gets changed to the Nightingale, or Juliette Gervais. So she changes her name. She has a nickname because of how well of her job she's doing. People are looking for the Nightingale. She's like building this name, this infamous name up for herself, which is so cool. Chapter 19, we meet Madame Babineau, if I'm saying that right. And we see the journey start, the sores on our feet, the exhaustion, not just by her, but from all the 8 people that are hiking with her. You know, you see her still trying to keep up the morale, using, talking to the soldiers, you know, hey, remember, you got to keep moving. You got to see your friends and family, those kinds of things. And she's doing such a good job that the M19 want to get involved and help the Nightingale pay to continue her services. So that's really cool. On page 219, I bookmarked or tabbed, whatever you want to call it, that you're seeing, you know, Isabel's pride has changed her. And after this first success, you see her completely come into herself. You see her mature. You see her finding life's purpose. She's feeling like, oh my God, this is what I'm here for. This is exactly what I meant to do. And I just was so happy for her for that one small but huge thing, right? Like in the midst of all the death and all the war and the anxiety and being hungry and cold and tired and scared, that, you know, she is finding purpose in that, and that is a beautiful thing. And now poor Vianne, no electricity in the house. You see her cuddling up with her daughter with all the blankets, just trying to survive and stay warm. They have no money for food. Captain Beck has been gone a long time. And then you see Vianne get really, really, really sick. And also they introduce the yellow stars that her friend Rachel and her daughter have to wear among all the other Jews. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So far, everything is coming back to me except for who is in Oregon. I think it's Vianne. Am I right? I don't remember. But I probably have said this already on another clip, but, you know, I'm about to the halfway point, and this is definitely still a favorite of all time book. I am loving it. Even though I've read it before, I'm not bored. It's been a really good reread experience. So maybe I do know my reading taste. But yeah, just seeing the sisters, the 2 different war efforts they're making and how different they look, and everyone still has the same purpose of wanting to survive and be safe and get through the war alive. Again, I find myself relating a little bit more to Vianne because I had a husband that was at war. I'm a mother. I don't know if I could be brave like Isabel and sneak soldiers across into Spain or out of Paris to wherever she's taking them through the mountains in Spain. Like, I don't know that I have that in me to do that. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I think the next 100 pages from what I'm remembering, I think a lot of very heartbreaking things take place, if I'm remembering the events right, but I do need to keep reading. But I think we have some people close to Vianne that start to be killed off or die. I can't remember. It has to do with Rachel, and I think one of her kids dies. But we will read and find out together. Okay, time for another check-in. This is going to be chapter 21 through 33-ish. So I feel like I've said this before, but I still 100% think this is a favorite of all time. I am completely invested into this story, into the characters. I'm just blown away by the masterpiece that is The Nightingale. So, all right, so chapter 21, you guys, we pick up. Isabel is working finds like a very secretive, top secret job. So of course they send her in so she can try to figure out what's going on. And this is when she realizes that the French police are starting to turn on their own citizens and are starting to basically, all the names of the foreign-born Jews, separating them from the Jews in France. And so, Isabel goes and tells her dad, and her dad does not believe her. He is just like, there's no way the French police would, basically throw their own citizens, under the bus to death, send them away, all of the things, separating the women from their children. Like, in what, mindset does that make any sense? But whatever, it's fine. And then you follow Vienne. Beck is letting Vienne know, like, hey, you might want to hide Rachel tomorrow because they're going to start looking to deport, Jews. And so, again, the kindness that he's showing her, the heads up is just, he still is on the wrong side of things. He's still a German Nazi, but you just see how kind he is and how I just love that part of the book, that he still has some good in him. So they try to take Rachel and her kids to the safe zone. And then one of the most heartbreaking parts of the story for me, and I felt the same way I did the second time reading it, is when Sarah gets shot in the chest and you watch Rachel say goodbye to her daughter. I was tearing up when I read it. Like, there's no words. Like, I hope I never, ever feel what that feels like. And then in the next chapter, when Vienne is having to tell Sophie what happened to her friend, that her friend is gone and is now dead, and how confusing that is for Sophie, and how angry she is, and how quickly she has to grow up. She's being forced to grow up and deal with all these things that a child should never have to deal with. And now Vienne's having to take Ari in so that Rachel can go into hiding. Rachel comes out of hiding to take a shower, and she is captured. Thank God for Vienne that she can take Ari, her son. But, the daughter is dead. Now Rachel, her best friend, has to go into hiding and then gets caught. What else can happen to this poor lady? More happens to her, which I know because I've read it before. But as the reader, when you're reading for this first time, it's like you just keep getting hit after hit after hit, in both sisters' sides of the story overall, and it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Then you keep reading, and my heart was so full again when Captain Beck gives Vienne illegal papers to help Daniel out and to help her out. He just wants to give her any kind of kindness he can. But now you see Vienne with this added layer of fear of, now I have to explain who Daniel is, explain where he came from, and also continue to keep him safe. I just can't. I can't. And then you pick up and Isabel is coming into the barn hiding a downed pilot. I can't remember if he was American or British. I think he was American. That she's now, I have a hiding spot, and is moving the car in the barn on her sister's property and hiding this airman. And she's just covered in blood, and she's exhausted from, multiple trips across the mountains, all of the things. And it's just insane to me. Insane. Fast forward a little bit. Vienne realizes her sister is hiding there. And because Beck is like, there's something wrong, Beck finds that sees the car tracks that are off. And so he's looking for her. And at first, as the reader, you're not sure. Vienne hits Beck in the head with the shovel. And Isabel also shoots Captain Beck. So obviously the shot probably was the final blow. But then once this part happened, now I'm second guessing myself again about who is the lady in the present day in the 1995 timeline from Oregon going to France for this interview, this memorial for all the people that helped passage the people out of danger during the war. And I just can't. And you see Vienne with her convoluted, very conflicting feelings and thoughts towards Captain Beck. Okay, sorry, someone came to the door, so I had to pause it. So, pick up chapter 27. So, Captain Beck is dead. Vienne is obviously, it was between Captain Beck and Isabel. There was no choice, but you see her deal with these complicated feelings over feeling like she just killed Captain Beck. Confused again, which lady is in the 1995 timeline, which sister, that's fine. Chapter 27, though, we pick up, and so they decide to go try to get to the free zone, take the body, and bury the body. I love the conversations between Vienne and Gaetan, whatever his name is, as they are trying to get her sister and out of this area to the free zone and take care of the dead body, and the conversation and how Vienne realizes how much Gaetan really feels for his sister or her sister, and how much he really does love her, and you know how much Vienne really cares for her sister and how complicated this relationship is. And I like what we saw there between them. Just the first time them really both realizing how much they both care for Isabel, and they connect on that level because of the love that they have for Isabel. And then chapter 27 is when you meet von Richter, the mean SS officer. And as soon as he came into this chapter and came back into the story, I immediately remembered and how much I hated his character, how he rapes Vienne, how she gets pregnant. I believe she gets pregnant with his baby, and how awful of a human being he is. And then, you switch back over to chapter 29 where you finally get to see Isabel and Gaetan love each other and get together and experience all that, and just that small blessing that is that love that they share in the meantime of the middle of the war, and how much they have sacrificed and given up, and that they get this one small thing in each other that is just beautiful despite everything else falling around them, despite everything ugly and gross about the war and the world around them. And it's just, you get this little bit of hope and love in the middle of the tragedy of the story, which I really liked. Let's see, and then I forget why, I think Vienne and Sophie are just in town trying to get their rations for the day, and she comes across Helene, who is just like a friend, an acquaintance, a neighbor, if you will, and she's trying to give Vienne, begging her to take her younger son with her, because she's like, I can't provide for him, he's not safe, can you please help? There's no more free zone. And so she takes him home with her, and then von Richter is like, who is this kid, what are you doing? So Vienne quickly lies and said, oh, his mother died, or what it was. I think tuberculosis or something like that. She made up some excuse. And so you see Von Richter say, well, you take him to the orphanage. I don't want him in this house when I get back, kind of thing. And so she takes him to the orphanage. That's when you first meet Mother Superior. And just overall, I cannot imagine that the best option is to give your kid away and send them away. I cannot fathom what that is like, that choice. I can't even, not to mention, imagine life without your own child. What a sacrifice. I can't imagine making that sacrifice. That's the best option, to give your own blood and your own child away to keep them safe. Like, I can't imagine how hard that was. So then you pick up and you're following Isabel's storyline again, and Gaitan is telling her that I have to leave. You're not going to see me for a while. I'm going to fight the war with weapons and guns and fight the war a different way. I'm joining kind of like a militia. And you see that heartbreaking breakup. And then you switch back over to Vienne, and she is in town with her daughter, getting the daily rations or whatever, and they run into Von Richter, and he offers to carry the basket for her. And inside the basket is a loaf of bread that is stuffed with these illegal papers that she has collected for this child to take to the orphanage and try to give him a second chance and hide him and all the things. And the tension, I felt so much. It was palpable. Like, I'm like, oh my God. So that was intense. And then she's so smart, and he like points out that she's coughing, and she's like, oh, I've been under the weather, and he like throws the basket at her, which, thank God, right? So that part was just intense for sure. And then I love, you watch her starting to keep the names of the children that she is saving and sending to the orphanage in her Bible, so that hopefully when the war is over, these children can be reunited with their families, which reminded me of a part of the book that is coming soon where Daniel is taken from them, but we'll get there. I don't remember the details, so I haven't read that part yet. But how ironic that she's writing the names of these children down so they can be reunited with their families, and that this new boy, Daniel, that she, Rachel's son, that she has taken on as her own child, that she's going to have to release him again after the war's over. I can't remember the details, but we'll get there. Just so many feelings, ups and downs, you guys, with this book. It's so well written. I'm just obsessed with it. Okay, so then chapter 31, we kind of get thrown back into the present timeline. The unknown sister, I can't remember who it is still, is at the airport ready to go to France to be part of, get her recognition or whatever it is. And Julian, her son, finds her at the airport. He's like, you're not going by yourself, Mom. He gets on the airplane. He's like, can you please tell me the truth? What's going on? And then you fade back to the present. And Isabel gets arrested. She's tortured. She's tied to a chair. She's shoved in a refrigerator. They're trying everything they can to find out if she knows the name of who the Nightingale is. Vienne ends up meeting up with her father. I think they meet at Rachel's house or something, and she hasn't seen her father, don't forget, for many, many years. And he comes to tell her, like, hey, your sister's been captured. I don't know what to do. I'm going to try to go help her. He admits that he wasn't a good dad to the girls growing up, and you see her understand her dad a little bit more about why he was the way he was after he got back from war, and realizing like he wasn't the best father, but he was doing the best he could with us, with losing the mother and not being the same and being completely changed by the war himself. And she understands that more now, which is really cool. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to read some more and check in soon. But yeah, it's going really well. This has been such an amazing reread. Like I said, I've enjoyed the first reread. I enjoyed Diane Chamberlain's book, but this is on a whole nother level for me. And this is definitely a favorite of all time. So I'm going to read more, and probably maybe one more check-in, maybe two more check-ins. I'm not sure, but I'm getting to that point where I'm not going to be able to put this book down. So, all right, I'll check in later. Bye. Okay, so I finished The Nightingale. I'm not crying, you're crying. I actually literally just dried my tears. And I just want to give you guys my final thoughts. So let's see. The last I checked in, I think it was chapter like 33-ish, where Dad came to visit and went to go help Isabel, find Isabel. It was so hard for me to see their dad be assassinated, and when Vianne ended up seeing her dad, who she just saw after many years of not seeing, and, you know, kind of got to say goodbye to him, even though she didn't know it was goodbye, and, like, just her experiencing that, like, that got the tears going. And then the tears continued as Vianne and Isabel, not Vianne and Isabel, Vianne and Sophie, her daughter, they're talking, and you just hear Sophie express herself, like how mad she is, how much she hates Captain Von Richter, whatever his name is, you know, how she doesn't understand how her mom can continue to let him, like, allow him to hurt her, and just watching her just question everything about everything, and that was just heartbreaking. And then my tears kept going when Antoine is finally home. The Germans are leaving. Things are turning around. You see her grapple with whether or not to tell him about the rape and tell him about the baby that is not his. She decides not to, which that was her choice. And you kind of see her struggling with how many days and the amount of time that she would daydream about this reconnection with her husband, and how things are just not as she thought they would be. And it's awkward for her, it's awkward for him. The whole situation is just so hard. You know, when she's seeing the scars on his back, and there's he can't use one of his arms the same way, and just seeing how broken he is and seeing them come back together was happy, bittersweet tears for sure. Then you follow, Isabel's in the concentration camp, and you see her find out that, like, Gaetan and Paul and Henry were all arrested. I think Henry's the one that ends up getting executed, and how she doesn't even really shed a tear because she doesn't even have anything. She's so beat up and so dead inside and so just broken down that she doesn't even really respond or react. And then at the end of the book, Antoine just accepts Daniel as his own, and he's now back at home, and they're looking for Isabel, and they can't find her. It's been months and months. Finally got my tears together, got myself put together, and then they come to take Daniel. And that part just ripped my heart in two. Poor Daniel, this poor boy, he's so confused. He doesn't understand. He has to say goodbye again to a new mom. And it's just heartbreaking, even though he should be with his family. So, that's one of the things that she wanted to do, is reconnect children that were separated at war from their families after the war. But yeah, Daniel doesn't want to leave, and watching her say goodbye was so hard, you guys. It was so hard. I'm glad I wasn't reading on camera because I was ugly crying. And then Isabel is now in a hospital room in Paris. We get the part where they're reading Dad's letter. He's basically apologizing for everything he could not give them and why, and that he loved them. All those, that made me cry. Okay, I'm back. So, the very end of the book, we see, we find out that the future Oregon 1995 timeline is Vianne, which I was right from the beginning, but then I thought maybe it could be Sophie. I couldn't remember. So, and again, just a lot of tears, a lot of feelings with, I'm glad that, Gaetan and Isabel got to spend some time together, but at the same time, she's sick, she's dying, she dies. It's just so hard. It's so hard. And then you find out that also Vianne's daughter, Sophie, dies. Like, are you kidding me? Just so much loss and death in Vianne's life. I can't. But it all came to a head and to the end where she is reunited with Daniel, and I love the part where she's talking about all the families that are there to, you know, be at this event in Paris. Like, she helped and her sister helped get people safe and kept people alive, so that all those families were there because of the actions and the help and the support and the crazy brave things that they did during the war. And the author's note at the end was amazing as well. That also made me tear up. So I was just a ball of emotion, but but I made it through. So that wraps up my second reread. It was a hit, 5 stars, favorite of all time, without a doubt. This book is just beautiful, beautiful. And I just enjoyed my reread so much, and I probably will reread it again in another 10 years. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you guys again for watching as always. I hope you're reading something amazing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.